Good morning and welcome to the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency Board meeting for August the 9th. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by the invocation led today by Director Amante. Ready to begin?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We all please bow and join me in prayer. Almighty God, we are thankful for the warm days you are giving us, some warmer than we'd like, and for the wonderful place in which we have a chance to live and to serve our neighbors. We ask your blessings on all those who travel our roads, on all who work for our agency and their families, and keep a watchful eye on those in uniform here and abroad that keep us safe and free. We ask it in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, could you conduct the roll, please?
Chairwoman Bartlett.
Here.
Vice Chair Bates. Here. Director Olivato.
Here.
Director Amante.
Here.
Director Beal.
Here.
Director Campbell.
Here.
Director Cavetti. Here. Director Dahl.
Here.
Director Crom. Director Murray. Director Nelson.
Alternate present.
Director Sarmiento.
Here.
Director Schwing.
Here.
Director Geary.
Here.
Director Voigt.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. We now move on to item number 2, public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the Board of Directors regarding any items within the subject jurisdiction of the Board of Directors, but no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes for all comments unless the chairman, subject to the approval of the board, sets different time limits. Do we have any requests to speak this morning?
No, we don't, but I would just like to remind all of the directors to make sure that your microphones are on so our new system will pick up your comments. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move on to our consent calendar, items 1 through 7. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one vote. Board members may request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Directors, do we have any items to be removed from the consent calendar? Director Campbell?
Item 7.
Okay. Okay. Directors, any other items?
Second that.
Okay, hold on. Director Bates removes item 6.
Yes.
Okay. We're removing item number 6 and item number 7. Do we have a motion to approve the balance? Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. We'll now move on to item number 6. Director Bates?
Just a FYI type question in terms of the cost of the permits. Just interested on giving an example of what we pay to go through their processing. I'm assuming that's what the fee is about for the resource agencies.
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Doug Fairman of Environmental Planning. So we are in the initial phases of submitting our permits, and as we submit the permits, there are some application fees that will be required for us to submit with those permits.
But I'm just wondering, can you give us an example of, range? For example, San Diego Regional Water Quality Board.
Right. So the Regional Water Board, there's a formula that they use based on your linear impacts and your total impacts that you're going to have. So for our project, we reached the maximum threshold, so that's $59,000.
I see. Okay. I wondered how it applied. For example, for our agency as compared to a city, for example. That helps. So it's formula based.
Yes.
So, okay. Thank you. I will move the item.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That item passes. We now move on to item number 7, and that was pulled by Director Campbell.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. All I want to do is report to my colleagues that I very much appreciated, I believe it was almost 2 months ago that we changed this to a watch from a support amended, and that helped the county in some negotiations. Since that time, there's actually been a flurry of amendments and activity during the legislative break, and the amendments that PCA wanted were accepted, and are in draft, and I've seen them, and I think our staff has seen them. I think they're acceptable to us, as are the counties. So I appreciated your support. I think it did help us accomplish what we need to do at the county, which will actually be of some benefit to all local agencies throughout the state in their activities. So I just wanted to make that comment to you, and I'll move the item.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that item passes. We now move on to board business, items 8 through 10. Item number 8 is our cash payment network contract. Mr. Gallagher, staff report, please.
Good morning. This is report number 11. If you care to look at it again. And I have a short presentation I'll try and give to you as quickly as I can. What are these cash payment networks? Well, it's a network payment processor system that provides payment service for billers who bill customers, and sort of ensures that cash preferred or cash dependent customers have options for us to use the toll roads and support their account and pay tolls. We know we have about 14% of our cash are sort of cash preferred or cash dependent. This expands customer options for taking care of their accounts today and in the future. And importantly, the last point is it equips cash preferred customers with additional locations to make payments in any one thing. We had, in terms of feedback on our customer surveys during the AEP.
Excuse me, Jim. Somebody has a cell phone or an iPad or something too close to the microphone? So we're getting that backseat.
Let me. So what are we setting up here? In effect, this is an opportunity to replenish and keep up a prepaid fast track account, and in the future for license plate tolling, any of those license plate accounts, or for pay as you go. You can check your account balance, and in the future we'll be working on giving the capability to do license plate information to add or delete a vehicle, for example. If you have a borrowed car or something, or a rental, for example, and to make a one-time payment after travel, which is essentially our pay-as-you-go. So that'll be the second phase of this activity. How does this work? Basically, the customer experience here is you go to a mart or a market, usually a neighborhood market. You in a kiosk application, you can go to the kiosk, check your account, decide what you want to do. Add $20 to your account, for example. You get a little receipt. You go to the cashier, you hand the receipt in, hand the $20 over, and you get a payment receipt. And that transaction is then immediately sent to us, and it funds your account so you can immediately use the toll road. We selected to start with two companies working jointly. This is Blackstone Calling Cards and Southgate Systems, and these two companies together are very much in the lead of providing these cash payment networks. They use two methods. Blackstone tends to use a kiosk application in stores, and in Southgate, a point-of-sale application. They have 150 payment locations in Orange County alone, and in Riverside, San Bernardino, Los Angeles County, we have pages of locations, so there's hundreds upon hundreds, beyond Orange County. Blackstone is the provider for our colleagues at Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, and they've been selected up in the Bay Area to do a cash payment network for the Golden Gate Bridge, Highway and Transportation District, which is making a change to all electronic tolling in the next months. What are the benefits here? Well, it expands our customers' options for funding with cash. It's secure, it's convenient for those individuals, secure for us, full data security, guaranteed payment to TCA immediately, and settled every 24 hours with these companies. I mentioned the locations, and it basically supports our cash preferred customers. So we're recommending we make that you approve a contract with Blackstone and Southgate, 1-year term, extensions by mutual agreement. There's no cost connected to this particular contract. These companies do earn their money based upon a fee which they charge. So that's our recommendation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Directors, any questions? Director Alabado?
If someone wants to pay with their credit card, I mean, this so happens that day they don't want to use cash and they access their account at this kiosk, can they avoid the step of having to go to the cashier, or can they pay with the?
No, I don't.
No,
think
it's
so.
all
You gotta go to the
cash.
cashier.
I mean, that's
You
what
can
it's
use-
for, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You can use cash, or you can use a plastic, credit device at the cashier to add whatever you want to add to your account.
And they charge, what is it for the transaction, the dollar?
The transactions, the charge for the transactions for an account replenishment of fast track or a license plate total, $1.95. For document payment, for example, for an account invoice in the future, we set that at $1. Violation notice, payment of a violation notice is $2.95. An account balance inquiry, of course, we've insisted that be free.
So the replenishment amount would be for whatever, if they replenish with $20, $100,
$50,
$50.
$100, it's $1.95 for that service.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that item passes.
Thank you.
Now move on to item number 9, State Route 241 Tesoro Extension Project Construction Engineering Management Services Contract, K000025, Amendment 14, Jacobs Project Management Company. Mr. Lowe, staff report, please. Thank you.
Good morning. As we near the completion of the preliminary design for the Tesoro extension, our design build contractor, Saddleback Constructors, is developing a cost estimate for the final design and construction of this 5-mile extension. On projects such as this, we typically engage a construction engineering manager to assist us with the construction process. The item before you today is a request to authorize work under an existing contract with Jacobs Project Management Company in the amount of about $217,000 for pre-construction services for the 241 Tesoro Extension project. The proposed work includes the following items. The first is to prepare an independent cost estimate for the Tesoro extension based on today's market conditions. Under the Saddleback Design Build contract, the costs are generally calculated by updating the quantities from the new preliminary design and applying unit prices that are escalated by a construction index in order to reach a final cost. By performing an independent cost estimate, Jacobs will help us validate or invalidate the reasonableness of the Jacobs estimate. Should we not reach an agreement with Saddleback on the cost, the agency has options, and we can terminate that contract and pursue other options in order to finish the design and build the project. One option is to re-procure the design build contract in its entirety. In order to be prepared for this option, we're asking Jacobs to develop a schedule and a cost estimate for the re-procurement. Another available option is to complete the project is to hire a design firm to complete the final design, and then we put the contract out for a regular construction contract and hire a contractor. Jacobs is going to assist us in developing a schedule and cost estimate for each of the design, construction, and bidding phases. Lastly, we're asking Jacobs to provide engineering and schedule support services to help staff as we go through the negotiation process with Saddleback. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Directors, any questions? Director Campbell.
Dave, I don't have any problems with hiring Jacobs, but you raised a question on the contractual relationship with Saddleback in my mind. That contract for their original construction goes back to the late 1980s or early 1990s?
Late 1990s, yes, 1997.
So if you're using escalated construction rates since then, it would seem to me that if people were guessing at that time as to what they were going to happen, you'd be over the top now. Is that a good guess? Or
The
not?
contract was very flexible as far as schedule goes because of the unknown environmental process that we were under at that time. But it did include escalation clause in the contract, and it's based on an engineering news record and cost index for this area.
So if they're really out of whack, could they on their own ability reduce the price, or are they stuck to living with what the contract is?
They're stuck with living with what the contract is. I suppose they could offer a reduction in price, and I would think we would entertain that. The reason we're actually asking Jacobs to do the independent cost estimate, so we'll know what the market value is today.
Yeah, I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to see how much flexibility they have in terms of their ability too, given the fact they've done the rest of the roads and we've had a good working relationship with them.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm?
I just add, I mean, I'm sure that we could do a contract amendment, but if you know, if we were able to.
I'll move the item.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That item passes.
I'd like to note an abstention just because I haven't done a screening on this particular company, so note an abstention in abundance of caution.
Duly noted. We now move on to item number 10, the SR 241 completion, agency-controlled insurance program. Ms. Harrigan, report please.
Good morning, I'm Eileen Harrigan, Manager of Contracts. The request before you is for authorization of an amendment with the agency's insurance broker, Alliant Insurance Services, for the placement, administration, and management of a controlled insurance program, or wrap-up, for the Tesoro Extension Project. The agency's design-build contract for the completion of State Route 241 includes provision by the agency of certain insurance coverages to be included in a controlled insurance program, or ASIP as we call it. The agency provided a similar program with the construction of the Eastern Transportation Corridor, and for that project in 1995, the agency recognized an estimated savings of over $17 million when compared to the expected cost of traditional insurance. A controlled insurance program consolidates the insurance coverage for a project, providing coverage for all contractors on site as well as the owner. With this coverage, the agency will be assured that all appropriate parties are covered with adequate and appropriate limits. An ASIP will consolidate the coverage for the entire project with 2 to 3 insurers, provide greater control for the agency of the insurance coverage, potentially reduce costs, eliminate redundant costs and contractor markup, ensure adequate limits, provide consistent coverage, provide coordination of claims and loss control, and minimize potential cross-litigation. Alliant was appointed by the board as the agency's broker in 2009 as a result of a competitive procurement process. While the services for the ASIP were not included in the original scope of services, they were considered in the evaluation and selection process. Alliant has extensive experience providing similar services to various public entities throughout the state. They have a well-qualified team of professionals designated to provide this service to the agency. Under this contract, Alliant will provide marketing, administration, claims handling, and loss control services for the program. With the amendment, Alliant will begin procurement of the insurance required for the program under a limited notice to proceed, not to exceed $10,000 for direct costs. In the marketing effort, Alliant will work in conjunction with the agency staff, Saddleback constructors, and others as needed to educate insurance providers about the project and in an effort to obtain the best possible prices and quotes for workers' compensation, general liability, and builders' risk insurance, including earthquake, flood, and delayed opening. Alliant will host meetings with potential carriers and basically conduct the interviews and receive the quotes, do the analysis of those quotes, and provide recommendations. Once a selection is made and project funding has been identified, staff will recommend to the board to authorize the CEO to bind the coverage under the ASIP. With that approval, a full notice to proceed would be issued to Alliant for the balance of the services under the contract. For administration, Alliant will work with the agency and Saddleback to provide full education to all contractors, subcontractors on the site to make sure that they're aware of all requirements. They'll make sure that everyone is fully enrolled in the program. They'll maintain an electronic system for the enrollment and all the reporting. Work with on-site safety staff to ensure that everyone is covered before they start any work. and they'll be available to assist any contractors or insurance agents with any questions throughout the entire program. In claims management services, they are here for us for the life of the program, acting as an advocate for the agency and all insured parties. This effort will include the claims reviews, reporting, monitoring of all activities. Their loss control team will work with the agency and Saddleback to ensure proper controls, standards, and procedures are in place for a safe work site. They'll track and monitor losses and provide recommendation for improvements, provide field monitoring for safety compliance at least 2 days per week, and conduct training and provide corrective action plans as appropriate. They will also be providing the claims services throughout the project, and they will provide services on the ASIP until all claims are closed and both the agency and carriers have officially closed their books on the program. With that, staff recommends the approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And we also have Gordon Combs, the agency's account executive from Alliant, is here if you have any questions.
Directors, any questions? Okay. Do we have a motion? Okay. Motion, and do we have a second? Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We now move on to our Chief Executive Officer's report, Mr. Margrove.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My only report this morning, I'm happy to be back from escape the heat and humidity of the East Coast.
Well, welcome back. Any director's reports? Yes, Director Campbell.
Just a quick comment on July's numbers. Again, thank you for the timely report. But it looks like we're starting off pretty consistent with what people estimated. We thought we might have diversions of 1.9%. They were 1.6%. And we thought we'd have revenue increases of 3.9. We had 4.2. So starting off just about where we thought the plan would be. So, all right.
And at this time, we will recognize our outgoing chair, Director Campbell. You'll join me up front. Well, it's been a pleasure to work with you for the last year as chairman. You've been a great mentor, and Bill is someone who is always so calm and collected, and I've really appreciated that. We've had a very busy year and have been under fire a number of times, and he's always so calm and the voice of reason, and it's been wonderful, so thank you very much. Fiscal year 2012, of course, was a busy year for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. As chairman, Bill Campbell led us through some very important decisions. In October, the board voted to move forward on the engineering and environmental permitting to extend the 241 5 miles. That work has kept the staff and board busy this year, and we look forward to some final decisions in the coming months for the construction to begin. Bill Campbell also participated in the Joint Toll Operations Ad Hoc Committee that analyzed the prospect of removing all cash toll collection to provide a nonstop drive to all toll road customers. His probing questions led through a thorough analysis for a program that will help the agency's long-term finances and operations that will benefit customers. Under Bill's leadership, revenue grew by 5.8%, and by the end of the year, traffic was slightly down 1.1%. This is good news because it was projected that the road system would lose more traffic with the toll increase that went into effect on July 1, 2011. Fiscal year 12 revenues came in above budgeted revenues at 104.2%. Thank you, Bill, for your leadership and your wisdom. Your chairmanship truly left a mark on this agency. Also, Bill will be leaving the Board of Supervisors at the end of this year because of term limits, and so he'll be rolling off the TCA Board of Directors. And we will miss you very much as not only a colleague, but also as a friend, and we wish you the best of luck in your endeavors.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to provide you with this plaque as appreciation for all of your great work for TCA.
So should I do it like this? No. Yes, now I get to have this little device.
No, I appreciated serving with all of you, and it was a great experience. I think I hung my hat on the Tesoro extension. The first thing we had to do was find a good name for it. What was that crazy name we had? The extension down somewhere near the Ortega Highway or something? Yeah, that didn't work, so we found a good name for it, and that's the driver. We're in the business of trying to operate successful toll roads to complete the mobility here in this county, and adding those additional 4 miles were very important, I think, to this board and to me, and I appreciate the support of my colleagues and the staff on moving that forward, and look forward to our successful completion of this preliminary work in October. So thank you very much. Great to work with you. In December, I think I get a goodie bag, so I'm looking forward to that too. All right.
Thank you. Let's give Bill another round of applause. Do we have a need for a closed session today?
No, Madam Chair.
We will now adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be September the 13th. Those of you who are on the Joint Compensation Ad Hoc, that meeting has been postponed to a future date for gathering additional data. We are adjourned.